Okay, this is Brimster, and I'm back to try and record more of my D&D game. So I've only done a couple of things while I've been gone. The first thing is I came up with a name for the dwarvish town, which is Deep Scar, which you should be able to see here. And I did some more reading through the books to try and figure stuff out, but I've deliberately avoided trying to do anything about this. I I spent some time trying to decide, do I want to try and figure out how I want to improve the way I do this off camera? And I've thought, actually, I kind of want to try and explore this on camera as much as I can. Actually, I've got a couple of family members who are enjoying watching this, even though I've only done one episode, and they kind of want to see this journey in its entirety. So I'm going to try and do a lot more of it on camera, which is going to be a bit weird, but there you go. So where we were is we had Romina and Vint who had left Romina's farm, and they were traveling to the town that her father used to go to, and she'd gathered together some stuff, and I'd realised I hadn't uh, uh, said how they were traveling with the stuff. So, questions to answer. So, this is start of session 2, and I'm actually going to use a special heading format for this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, let's make this a purple color, and I'm going to bold italics, and I'm going to drag this up in size. Actually, I'm not going to keep it that large. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to call this like a heading 4. So at the start of session 2, there are some questions to answer, and I'm using a large font size here. So it's like, are uh, how are they carrying their supplies? Is the main one, which is something I should have thought about. Um, so, and the answer to this is basically, I thought they didn't really necessarily have um, uh, any of, maybe they had a pony or something, but I thought maybe what they were doing is, they had a pony, but they wouldn't have a wagon. So they have a pony, no wagon, but what they've done is they've made like a sleigh. So they've attached it to some tarp. So made a makeshift sleigh or sled out of um, uh, like a tarpaulin, um, and some planks, and they are dragging it. So yeah, that's the way they're carrying their stuff. So they don't have anything as big as a wagon left or anything like that. I'm not sure what happened to it. Not really relevant, but that's the way that they're carrying stuff at the moment. Um, so um, questions to answer left over from previous session. So picking up from where we left off. So, questions basically is, I'm actually going to move this. I'll move this up here, it doesn't really matter. Paste. Okay. So, encounter before arriving town. So it feels like potentially someone from town trying to figure out what is going on. It doesn't really matter if I'm a bit off. There are starting to be signs there are a large population around, but not either Romina or Vint expected. So I did roll that Deep Scar was a town of 1,500 to 6,000, mostly dwarves. Underground, quite evil. I'll get into that maybe a bit later. Dwarves own everything around here. So I wanted to ask some questions. So the big question I wanted to ask was, are these official people from town? And I think it's likely that they are. So if I look at the oracle being likely, that gives me a +3 on the roll. So it's likely that they're an official people from town, like they might be guards or anything, but let's just say, are they official for now? Let's look. I rolled an 18, which makes it yes and. So, Oracle question. Oracle question: are these official people from town? Town, not Twan. And yes, and. So, again, I've got some new dice that my wife gave me, which is cool. They're not as nice as my pretty metal ones, but I think they'll work. Hopefully the noise cancellation is going to drop out a lot of the clicking sounds and everything in the previous video. So they're official people from town. Yes, and. So does that mean that these are potentially guards who are looking out for the town, and that they think the so yes, and I think it means that they're probably guards. So they're official people from town, and they're not like necessarily happy. Like these are the sort of people that aren't. So I think the and means that it's more likely that they're not just official people like traders or anything, but they're actually like guards. So I'm going to use a highly likely, which is +5 when I roll like, are they guards and stuff. So that gets me into the yes category. So highly. So I'm going to say. So I'm actually not going to worry about the oracle question. So these are guards from town who are here to both, so they, guard the area and look for people who aren't supposed to be out and about. So they're going to immediately approach when they see someone like, I forgot my characters' names. When they see someone like Vint and Romina, they're immediately going to come and investigate. So I think the chances are they're immediately going to be suspicious. So what's their level of suspicion? Are they how suspicious are they? So I'm going to roll a d20, and I'm going to use the likely suspicion. So I'm just going to add 3 to the roll to see how suspicious they are. So they're medium level suspicious. So they are medium suspicious because I rolled under 10. So medium suspicious. So they're going to come up and they're going to ask what's going on. Now, as I said, I'm not going to role play out all of the stuff. So what is the likelihood? I think what we're just going to do now is we're going to go to a persuasion roll, or is it persuasion? I'm so out of touch with D&D skills. I'm just going to go to the skills list in the book, which I think was about 160, and I'm deliberately wanting to use text here, so 173-ish. I'm deliberately wanting to use the books because I haven't used them as much as I wanted to. So then she's not trying to deceive them or anything. I think she's just trying to explain. There's no intimidation involved here, so I think it's just a persuasion roll. So it's going to be Romina explaining the situation and trying to persuade them to offer assistance. Now, it's going to be a harder roll, and I can't spell anything. Now, this is going to be a hard roll because of the background of the town. So because the fact that as a general rule, people here, like, I get the feeling from the nature of the town that the guards kind of expect everyone to do. I haven't come into it. Maybe I need to check that. It's like, so I'm going to go back down to Deep Scar. And I'm turning around saying, so how is it? So I've said this is a little bit of an easy town. Do the dwarves expect the people who are in the area to basically supply their stuff in trade, and it's like a tithing situation? So how likely is it that the dwarves are just going to assume that everything belongs to them? And I think I'm going to make this just a straight roll. Yeah, okay, so it is likely. So the dwarves are going to expect people to, or the locals to treat them with deference and I can't spell at all today. not difference, deference. And wow, it really doesn't know that, does it? Um, and tithe a proportion of their goods to them by default. Anything they get in return is purely by barter. So they have to earn anything they get. So because Romina is trying to sort of get the dwarves to try and help, but it's going to be a hard roll. So I'm going to, because the dwarves basically expect, if you're bringing stuff, it belongs to us anyway. So I'm going to call this a DC 15 persuade roll. And so Romina's persuade, if I go here, she doesn't have any. She's got intimidation, but no persuade. But she's not trying to intimidate them at this point. So let's persuade is charisma. So it's just at +1. So she's in trouble here. She does okay, but she fails. So she doesn't succeed in persuading them, just like, hi, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. She tells them the story, and do they believe her story is an interesting question. So I think she was persuasive enough. So she was persuasive, because it was a good roll, just not 15. So she was persuasive enough that they believe her story, but they are not inclined to help. Now, the question is, are the guards just going to want all of the stuff or some of the stuff, or are they going to just turn around and potentially... Okay, what are the... So I think there's 3 possibilities here. They're just going to demand some of the stuff and then send her towards the town. They're going to demand all of the stuff and send her towards the town, or they're going to arrest her. I think it's more likely they're going to demand some of the stuff. Or I could just do this as an even roll. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a d6. On a 1, I'm going to take all of the stuff. On a 5 or 6, they're going to arrest her. So they're just going to take some of the stuff. So the guards move to take some of the stuff. So probably some of the chickens. So they basically tell her, it's like, we're going to take some of those chickens so that we can eat because they're outside, and some of her supplies. So the guards tell her they are commandeering some of the chickens and her travel supplies, of which she doesn't have much, before they will direct her towards the town. Now, at this point, I've also been thinking about this, and I think I said in the previous game, Romina had sort of tended towards not being good, like not being, definitely not lawful, and not being the whole concept of, okay, you're the people in charge, blah, blah, blah. She's literally in it for herself. So it's quite likely that she won't take this well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an intimidate roll from the guards against I might just do an opposed intimidate roll to say basically they're standing up against each other. So the guards will be yellow on the orange die, and Romina will be on the black die. And whoever does better, and the guards have much better intimidation. Actually, she's got a good intimidate as well. So her intimidate is 3, but theirs is going to be better. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, that's pretty much dead on even. So Intimidate versus Intimidate. So she rolled slightly better than the guards, but not enough to offside the fact that they're guards. Intimidate versus Intimidate was about dead even for whether she will back down. So, is she actually going to draw and defend herself? Vint is standing back on this one and letting her take control. I've always seen Romina as the main character here, and Vint is here to help. So, is she going to stand up against the guards? I think it's possible, so I'm just calling it a flat out D20 roll on the Oracle. I mean, I should be choosing, I haven't looked at the die roll. I should be choosing for this. So, I'm going to cover the die where I can't see the result. So, the guards are going to push, and she's not intimidating enough for them to back down. Is she going to defend her stuff? Interestingly enough, and some of my DMs find this funny, is when I get to a decision like this where I can't make up my mind, I will fall to the dice. I'll do this in a normal D&D game as well. It's like, but that's not role-playing. It's like, yeah, I'm not in my character's situation, and I don't have my character's stats or my character's alignment. So, yeah, I'm just going to live with the die for now. So, yeah, she is absolutely going to defend her stuff. So Romina is going to defend her stuff and draws her weapons in order to do so. So the question now is, how many guards are there? Actually, this should have been something I knew in the beginning. So let's call it a D4. Yeah, let's call it a D3 plus 2. So there's actually only 3 guards. So there are 3 dwarven guards. Okay. So I haven't developed a combat stat thing for this, and I probably will. So what I'll want is a now she's going to draw to defend herself. How are the dwarves going to react to this? Are they going to back down? The Intimidate versus Intimidate wasn't, so I think we're going to go into initiative. So we're going to do a combat block for this. Now, the dwarves don't have particularly much in the way of stats. Now, they're going to be basically, they're trained guards, so I'm going to call their attack, it's going to be better than Romina, like significantly better than Romina. So, Romina's at +5. So because she's quite strong. So I'm probably going to call their attack at +5. The damage is going to be sort of 1d6 plus 3, I think is fair for the guards. And they're going to have a lot more hit points than Romina. So I'm going to give them probably something like 24 hit points each. And there's 3 of them. So guard 1 is on 24, guard 2 is on 24, guard 3 is on 24. Meanwhile, we've got Romina, who starts on, and I'm deliberately wanting to do combat blocks where I can pull them in, starts on 13 hit points and Vint on 10. I expect them to lose this. And Vint on 10. I expect them to lose this completely, and I will develop a I am going to, as I go, develop a combat block that I can just copy and paste in, which will allow me to speed all this up. But, I will get there. So, let's do initiative. Now, do I want the guards to all run on the same initiative? Not sure. Now, Romina and Vint are both on +3. Normal guard. Do I want to use a normal town guard? Actually, I think I've got access to a tool that allows me to do this. So let's do something like guard. Guard. So let's just use a standard humanoid guard. 24 might be too much for the hit points, so let's do the guards independently. I'm happy to do that. So the first one has 10 hit points. Yeah, let's do this way. This sounds more fun. The second one is actually better and has 15 hit points. They might win this fight. That could be very, very bad for them. And the third one has 14 hit points. So this could be something where it goes very, very messy. The attack is only +3. And it's a D6 +1 damage. So there you go. Much better off for them. Now the initiative, I'm going to roll independently because I actually want to try. No, I'm going to roll them together because I want to try out the combat system that is recommended. One of the combat systems that's recommended here. So let's roll for Romina first. Romina's on 13. Vint is on 3. So 14 for Romina. So Romina was on 14. Vint is on 3. And the guards are on... Ooh, that's not necessarily very good. The guards are on 16. Now, and let's do this as a full combat. Now, I don't need the numbers anymore, but there we go. Okay, so, and what I'm probably going to do is at the end, we'll delete the combat block. And, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll keep it. I've got unlimited space. So, I'm learning about how I want to do this. So the guards are going to press. Now there are, I'm in a game where we tend not to use this very often, but there are other combat actions that are often very, very useful. Actually, that's what I was going to do. I was going to use the stuff that is in the book because there's an alternate, what does the combat system do? And I'm actually going to learn this on camera, as I said. So running combat and monster tactics. So what we have is we have a concept called menace points. And the menace points are calculated by the guards have... And I probably should have done this as a calculation of generating encounters. So I should have done that. But for now, I'm going to run this because I'm happy for them to lose. This doesn't have to be a deadly encounter because the guards aren't trying to kill them. Now, the concept of menace points, so I will do this moving forward, is you add up the CR of all the monsters. And in this case, guards are challenge rating in 8ths. So it's 3/8. Then you divide by 20. Divide 20 by that number. So 20 divided by 3/8 is... Oh, crikey. No, that doesn't work. What? So 20 divided by 1. Is that the way it works? Yeah, I think... They're 1/8. Because I don't think I divide 20 by 3/8 and then do it. So I think I'm dividing 20 by 1 and then round down. So I end up with an X of 20? That can't be right. Maybe because this is a trivial fight. So I'm not going to call the menace 20. I'm going to call the menace 5 because what this does is this is going to change what the guards do as the fight continues. I think this is because I've made it a very weird thing. This doesn't seem to work very well, but we'll see how it goes. So what I do now is I roll on a D100. I know I'm fudging the system, but 20 seems really high. Maybe it's not. And I roll to see what the let's make it 10. Let's split the difference. What do the monsters do with what? So I roll a 35. On a 35, they use a secondary attack feature or attack. So the guards don't have a secondary attack feature. So they're literally just going to move up and attack. Now, Romina maybe, yeah, I don't know. We'll call the Menace 20, see what happens. Like, let's follow the system. Now, Romina is standing there with her two weapons, sort of preparing to defend her stuff. What is Vint doing? I actually hadn't prepared spells for Vint. So let's look at Vint's character sheet. I had turned around and said that he was preparing. He does have common spells prepared. So he has Animal Friendship, Cure Wounds, Entangle, and Fairy Fire. So I have got something kind of prepared for him. I'm not sure what Vint is doing, but we'll see what happens first. So the guards are going to push, but they're basically going to try and capture. Now, there are different things that they can do, but they're trying to capture, but they're not trying to kill. So even if they drop them to 0 hit points, they're not going to do killing blows. This is something, I'm not sure if it's standard D&D rules, but it's something that I've run in every game I've had pretty much forever. So the guard is going to attempt to attack. Guard number 1 is going to attempt to attack Romina, and he's going to hit her for so much damage it's not funny. Romina is dropped immediately to 3 hit points. So walks up, hits Romina, drops her to 3. Guard 2 walks up, this could be devastating, misses Romina. Guard 3 walks up to Vint and attacks Vint and misses. So Romina immediately is on the back foot. It's like, I just got hit very, very hard. Now, does she think that this was a very, very bad idea? There's a chance she's going to do that, but she's actually not. She's going to push on and defend her stuff because this is all she's got. Is Vint going to try and talk her down? No, Vint at this point is prepared to talk down, but he's very, very nervous about this. I'm probably doing this stupidly, but there you go. As I said, the guards aren't pushing to kill, but they will try and drag her down and hurt her, and she'll have some recovery time. Now, what is she going to do? Now, she could spend... She's immediately going to second wind. So she's going to gain as a bonus action. So Romina is going, that's it. She's done. So she's going to second wind, which will mean that she gets all of her hit points back, I think. So she gets 10 back. Yep, she gets all of her hit points back. So it's like, I am not backing down for you. And then she's going to try and hit the guard that hit her, which was guard number 1. So Romina is going to try and hit guard number 1. Now, she actually is dual wielding. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Romina is a dual wielder. So she's using 2 of these really dodgy swords, but she's incredibly strong and everything. So she's going to push. Now, the question is Romina... I think Romina is going to... So Romina is going to, with her first attack... is going to hit armor class 12 for 5 points of damage. Now the guards have 16, so she's nowhere to hit a hit. And with the second attack, she's actually going to hit, but she's only going to hit for 4. Vint, on the other hand, and the guards like, this is not a good move. This is really not a good move. Like, you're attacking the guards of a town, but she's got her blood up. She's not a barbarian, but you know. And Vint, on the other hand, I'd always thought of Romina as basically being sort of a neutral evil character previously, and I'm kind of willing to stick with that. Whereas Vint is kind of more probably like a druid, bordering on true neutral. So he's prepared, like, lawful to his friend. So at this point, he doesn't feel anything towards the town. So sort of think of it again of a video game concept. You've come across a town which you've heard about, but they've immediately said, we're just going to take your stuff. If this was a video game, you'd kind of fight back against that. So that's kind of what they're doing. What's Vint going to do? He is going to... is he going to use something like Entangle? I got to remember what Entangle does. I think that traps people. So let's look at what Entangle does. I will get better at spells as I do remember. I used to know all the D&D spells off the top of my head and exactly what they did, but it's been way too long. I'm not running this combat. I'll run a lot of complex combats possibly on a map, but this is just a simple combat between people, so I'm not going to do this on map. Um, so he's going to do entangle, and he's going to do it in such a way that it's going to trap. Can he do it in such a way that it's going to trap the guards and not his friends, considering they're standing together? And the answer is yes, he can. So he's going to do entangle, and I should have used a bookmark. I am dumb that way. Entangle. Where was entangle? Here was entangle. So let's use this as a bookmark. So, becomes difficult terrain. The creature in the area, when you cast a spell, must succeed a strength saving throw or be restrained. Okay, so he's literally going to try and distract them. So he's going to cast entangle and try and like vines and stuff come out of the ground to do them. So, and then Vint entangles the area. And which guards are trapped. So strength saving throw, they've got terrible strength saving throws. So the DC of, oh, actually, I've not calculated Vint's save DC. I can't even remember how you calculate a save DC. So let's look this up because I forgot to do it when I generated the character. So, save DC. And I'm sure there's people watching this who know exactly how to do it, and I'm not one of them. Spell DC, I imagine it is. Spell save DC, 205. Eight plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. So let's put it here. Actually, where am I going to put it? Let's put it here. So spell save DC is 8 plus 2 plus 3 is 13. So 13 is what they need, and they've got no bonus. So the first guard is guard 1 is trapped. Guard 2 is not. Guard 3 is not. So guard 1, the one that's actually been damaged, it's like, what's going on? And then Vint sort of steps back and goes, is this really what we want to be doing? And then the guards are going to figure it out. So guard 1 is actually going to spend his action trying to break free of all of this rather than attacking. Guard 2 and 3 like, these guys have got some magic and stuff. They're not just farmers. It's like, so guard 1 is just going to try and break free and fail. So he's like, he puts his hammer, puts his hammer away and is like, bends down and is trying to pull his feet free and everywhere. It's like, get them! And guard 2 and guard 3, are they starting to question their thing? Because there is the menace rating that came in because one of them got hit. So I'm going to actually use the combat table to see what do they do. So, okay, yeah, they are basically at the surrender or flee level because I rolled 88 and I'm adding the 20. So that takes them over the 100. So they're not going to take cover and make sure. So they're not going to surrender because of the power imbalance here, but they're actually turning around and say, okay. So there's been a misunderstanding here. Obviously something weird is going on, but we're definitely going to have to escort you to town. When are they going to actually say you're under arrest and cause it's like you don't want to mess with this? I'm going to make this a neutral roll. So they're not. It's like okay, everyone calm the hell down. and we're going to deal with this. Now, what are the chances that Romina and guard 2 and guard 3 are like they've stepped around they've stepped around the difficult terrain and everything, and they're there. So Vinter's like, and they're basically on either side of Romina with their weapons ready to attack. So if she attacks, they're basically ready. They're actually just like, okay, don't want to push this. And now it's does Romina stand down? Yes. So they push, and Romina decides to stand down because this is obviously just getting a bit under control. So I'm going to remove all of this. They start a fight. Romina injures one of them, having spent her healing second wind after being pushed, being hit quite badly. Vint entangles them, and the guards renegotiate, realizing these are not just farmers or regular farmers. Okay. So the update is the guards are wounded, but I'm not worrying about that. And so if I go back to the characters, I'm going to turn around and say Vint has spent one of his first level spells. Neither of them were wounded, but Romina has second wind has been spent. Okay. Cool. Are the guards going to escort them back to town at this point? Yes. So the guards decide to escort them back to town. Okay. Now I need to decide. We're going to move to Deep Scar. Okay. So entrances to Deep Scar. So this is fight with Deep Scar guards. That was really not clever. But, you know, it's what happened. And entrances to Deep Scar. So how do they enter Deep Scar? So they're in kind of a hilly, almost mountainous area at this point. So do I want to do a mountainous terrain roll or a hill terrain and sort of see what comes up? I think I do. So I want I've seen something here. Wilderness Generation, page 57 of book 1. So I want hills. Minor feature hills. I'm curious what the entrance to the town would be. Maybe I could do it on the building generator. Is there something here for it? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff for the cities, but there's nothing really for how it all hangs together from this, which is fine. I mean, it can't incorporate everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the keywords table and see if anything jumps out at me. I mean, I could just make something up, and that's part of the fun. But at the moment, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not just do what comes obvious to me, because I've done a lot of that in the past, and some players are going, yeah, this feels very similar. I want to be driven in different directions. So I'm going to deliberately try and see what comes up different. So 795. Wow. Okay, that's near the end of the 800. So weird. So it is a weird entrance. Okay. So first keyword was weird. That's weird. Second one, wow, still in the 700. 738 is target. Don't know how that's going to help me. But maybe I'll come up with something. 326. I find 3 is enough. Implicate. I'm not going to use implicate. I'm going to roll a couple of notes. Back in the set. Oh, God. Back down. Is that the same as I rolled before? Talk. Weird target. Talk? No, I don't want talk either. I don't want. This is feeling very. Yeah, 110. I want something that feels like it's going to have a flow that works for me. That 110 is man. I don't want that either. 349. No market or market related. 174. I'm back. My God, I got sundered again. I think this is the third time I've rolled sundered in like 5 rolls of this. This is just not working. I've got an idea for weird and target, but I want just something else to tick me over. Okay, statue. I can work with statue. Okay, maybe. So, entrances to Deep Scar. So, I think the way this is going to work is the dwarves sort of in this area, there are sort of more built up paths and everything. And the dwarves sort of walk them around. And in as they sort of come around a hill and everything, they approach a a series of dwarven monuments and everything. And it's like a row of statues. So different dwarf statues appear around the area, around lining some of the paths in the area. The dwarves talk to each other in Dwarvish. And then looking around, they approach one of the statues. And how do I want to incorporate target? I'm thinking that it's something along the lines of they sort of strike a bell or something, and that causes someone below to open it. So a particular statue will be the symbol or something. So they've got to strike a particular one to have the door opened. Um, um, yeah, they approach one of the statues and using their hammer strike the metal plinth of the statue, which causes a loud ringing sound. After a few minutes, a doorway opens, and what I'm thinking, uh, sorry, a doorway, or sorry, the dwarves then lead them to a very, or to a not hidden but not obvious doorway, which after a few minutes is opened. So what I'm thinking is, so this is DM note, a different plinth needs to be struck at a based on the time of day and time of year, to ensure that only the authorized people can. I'm terrible at spelling, aren't I? Signal for the doors to be opened. Romina and Vint are led into the darkness of the tunnels of Deep Scar. Okay, so I'm going to tell it to... I'm just going to let it accept Deep Scar. So, let's flesh out Deep Scar a little bit more. So, interior of Deep Scar. Now, it's not a big town. So, is it mostly natural cavern or mostly dugout? So, is it mostly a natural cavern? Let's just use the oracle for this. I think it is likely that it's mostly natural cavern, and that the dwarves then found it and then built on it. So, I'm going to just use a +3 on it. So, yes, it is mostly natural cavern. So, mostly natural cavern. I think after the migraine I had today, I need to pause, but mostly natural cavern, but has been built out by the dwarves, of course. Out by the dwarves. Is it lit? So I think dwarves have dark vision, but they'd like to be able to see further than 60 feet. So how well lit is it? I think it's likely that there is some sort of light coming down some way. So I'm going to roll again. Yeah, it is lit, but not very well lit. So there is dim lighting from various sources, some magical, some obvious, some where daylight is being channeled into the caverns by some method that Romina and Vint are unaware of. I'm going to give up on the spelling stuff, although some of these obvious ones I can probably deal with. So it's lit, so they're not going to have to deal with anything, but the dwarves are going to have better vision than them as well as better knowledge. And is it sort of, is it like tunnels or is it like a big open cavern? Like, do they move through and they can move to a passage where there's buildings in it, or is it literally like a dungeon complex? Or is it one big open cavern with like normal buildings in it? My gut feeling is it's going to be chambers with the chambers. Yeah. So let's do a D6 roll. Like, is it going to be one big cavern, 1 to 2, small caverns with like buildings in them, 3 to 4, or is it literally going to be you have warrens of tunnels and stuff like it's a metropolis of small sections, and that'll be 5 to 6. So it is the middle one. So Deep Scar is a number of medium-sized caverns, each containing many areas or many different buildings, working many different buildings. So basically different districts, and those districts may be large or small. So they're taken down and the passages split. Do I want to design the full map for this? I don't think I do, not unless they're going to adventure. So are the guards going to take them to a guardhouse, or are they going to do something else? I think it is likely that they're just going to take them to a guardhouse. So let's roll on the oracle again with a likely that they're just going to be taken to a guardhouse. No, they're not going to be taken to the guardhouse. The guards decide something else. Decide to take R&V to... So they did say what they were going to do. They were trying to sell. So do they take them to the traders district? I I think if they're not taking them to the guardhouse, it's likely they're going to take them to the place where that's going to happen. So let's try that. Yes. So to the traders district, rather than directly to a guardhouse. They do not offer to help them with their stuff, and it's obvious they are being escorted. However, people do not seem to consider this unusual. Now, when they get there, do they just hand them over to the guards in that area? I think that is highly likely. Yes. So when they arrive in the traders district, the guards hand them over to the guards of the area, saying something in Dwarvish that R&V cannot follow. So we've now got them into Deep Scar after a bit of a battle with the guards, and they've spent some resources. I think I'm going to end this here because I'm still struggling a little after a migraine. Not much happened. I do want to start doing longer sessions, but we'll see how this goes. So next up is going to be do the traders district guards help there? No, I think that I think this is does. So how does Romina do at selling her stuff? I don't think the traders district guards are going to get in the way. We've already kind of had that encounter, and I don't want to just do the same fight or the same encounter over and over again. So yeah, I think that's where I will pick this up next time. I hope everyone is enjoying it. Not that I think when I say everyone, I might get like 2 people watching this. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, let's see how Romina and Vint do next time. Bye, everyone.